Third phase of moon.
We just received photos from Ed that we're going to be sharing exclusively right here at Third Phase of Moon. We're going to share incredible encounters from around the world, all the way from Johnson's Atoll and from the United States. Incredible close encounters with aliens, UFO sightings. Third Phase of Moon is the place to share your stories. You're sharing it with the world. Disclosure is in your hands. We want people out there that have a UFO experience. You don't always have to have photos or incredible video. Your testimony is just as important. Evidence, eyewitness accounts. What we want is people to videotape themselves for 3 to 5 minutes, get some good audio, get a good video, good lighting, and share your story to us so we can share it to the world on Third Phase of Moon. We're working on a documentary. We want to document, get people's testimony in a collective source, get it in a documentary, individual encounters from around the world. What better place to do that in Third Phase? Let's get to callers right now. Let's go to our backyard. Somebody's calling in from Hawaii, 808. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Tell us your name.
Aloha, Janet Carolesson, calling from the island of Maui, Hawaii.
Hey, Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you for answering my call. I was in Johnson Atoll from December of 95 till February of 97. And I don't know if you know what it is. It's a place where during the height, they destroyed chemical weapons. It was a military base, and I was civilian working for the military. So I got a job there, and I followed my boyfriend. And so no one can go there. You have to, clearance to get there. So there I was, and the moment I landed, a guy came over, and he ran up to me, and I was sitting on a park bench, trying to figure out what to do. And he said, welcome, you've landed on a joint UFO ET military base. Now, he didn't know me from Adam. There was a bunch of people arriving. I just happened to be sitting there. And it was very strange, and I said, oh, really? And he didn't know that I had experiences, or did he? That was a mystery. But when I was on the base for about a year into my contract, I had taken a lover, and we were making love. We looked at and we went, oh, we saw the smoke detector, and we realized that that's not just smoke detector. They were watching us. We didn't know who it was. We just realized we were being recorded, and that within 24 hours of having that awareness, we were both taken out of our beds. I was carried by 6 grays, and I was carried like a surfboard, and I started screaming bloody murder. And at the same time, I'm thinking, why isn't anybody, coming to rescue me? I'm screaming, and it's a small island, only a half mile by 3 miles, and I could really scream. And as I was saying that in my mind, the gray that was carrying my right foot said, scream all you want. You're in an energy field. No one can hear you. So they took me down to the beach, and they brought my boyfriend. He was in a different room, and he was, like, struggling, and I just kind of relaxed. Once they said, no one can hear you, I just, decided to go with the experience and relax. And so then they brought over, the best way to describe it is like a Billy Meyer beam ship, type craft, and then we walked into it, and they launched it out into the coral reef, beyond the coral reef, into this really deep area on the atoll and to an underground installation. There I sat on the chair, like a standard military issue, metal chair, very rough, and I was about 6 to 8 feet away from a table they put my boyfriend on, and he was just fussing, and finally he settled down, and there were about 3 varieties of grays, different heights and a little bit different body shapes, and this is where it gets really weird, and I don't know anybody's had this kind of experience, but they came over and they took me, and this is very personal, so this is hard for me to say, but I'm going to say it, because, of course, you're always afraid that people are going to judge and criticize you. But they came over and they took me to a room where there was this gown, beautiful, kind of like an emerald green gown, and it had it had all these gems, and they weren't sewn in. They were just in the material. And when I put it on, it fitted to me, like as if it'd been made for me. But there's something about the material. It just kind of molds to your body. And then there were these shoes, and they were beautiful. And there was all these gems and crystals, and it was like a ball, like I was going to a ball. And everything was telepathic at that point. There were no words. It was just an awareness. Okay, I'm supposed to do this, and then okay, I'm supposed to stand up. And I started walking down into, now it goes from the artificial construct into natural caverns. And as I'm walking, these tall whites, and I call them the Anunnaki, started coming from both sides. Like the walls would open as I went by, and I could see them coming through the walls, and they were all dressed like they were going to a ball. It was almost like a scene out of Eyes Wide Shut. And I kept walking, and they came in line behind me, and then there was like this energy building, and they're all excited. And they're going, is it going to happen now? Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Is she the key? Is this the one? And I'm going, I'm so confused. I don't know anything what's going on. But I'm just, I keep walking. Now, every step I take is like I'm taking 20. I'm kind of floating. It might have been something in the shoes. It might have been the floor. There's so much going on. I can't take it all in. I'm trying to analyze what's going on, but it's happening all at once. Finally, I get to this very large cavern, huge, and there's natural illumination. There's no light fixtures. It's all very beautiful. It's something out of like a Spielberg film, And I'm standing in front of a giant wall that's solid obelisk, that dark, glossy black, and there's a light that comes from somewhere up above it. It makes a perfect circle, and as I stand there, then everything stops. All the it's not even telepathic noise kind of stops. And this is where it gets really weird. But I've talked to a lot of people about this since, and it does make sense. So suddenly the wall dissolves. It's almost like it just disintegrates, but it kind of breaks into its molecular structure as it dissolves. You can see it fizzle out. And there's these huge feet, and we all start staring at these feet, and suddenly the being that's in this big cavern in front of that was behind the black wall sends a avatar itself. So it's a perfect height. It's my height. And so I'm able to look at, and it's female in energy, look at this being face to face, eye to eye. And I'm looking at her, and she's the shape of a dragon. And it's a small representation of her full form. And then the telepathic communication starts going at light speed, and it's almost like there was I estimate there was about 1,000 Anunnaki tall whites. They range from, they were all taller than me. I'm 5'2". They were all taller than me, but they started at I'd say 6-something, 6'2", 6'3", all the way up to about 14 feet tall. The taller ones were way behind me, and I think they kept behind me to not overwhelm me, with their height, because it was all just too unreal. And they were very aware to not frighten me. And I think if they were to scare me too much, my heart could have stopped. So there was this kind of protection that nothing would happen to me. And so they were asking questions. Now, I haven't been able to decipher all the questions, because it was communication with telepathic beings. It's so fast, it's beyond language, and I've done some regression on this to get the pieces, and I'm going to do another regression. I got it wasn't time to get what was said, and then they. I had a typical return. I went back. I dressed back into my night clothes. I was taken back by the grays. I was plopped into my bed.
I know the Johnston's Atoll is in the middle of the Pacific. It's a strange island. It looks straight out of like Area 51. It's abandoned now as far as the looks of it from Google, but in your time when you were working there, it was very active. And then they said, "Welcome to the UFO." And did this man, was he And do you think it was a UFO alien base that was going on over there, and you were kind of like maybe some kind of experiment that was going on over there?
That's what this man who came to me said within the first 10 minutes of being on the island. I had to go through intake and get through their procedure, but then, I was taken over to where I was going to live. My boyfriend, I was told that my boyfriend, I followed my boyfriend there. He got me the job. I said he'll be here in a few minutes. So I was just sitting there waiting, and then this guy came over and said that he looked human. He was totally human. I never saw him after that. But what was really strange is I went over like as a data entry clerk, right? I just got a job. Before I knew it, I am promoted without even, really trying anything to the president's office right across the hall from the commander of the entire island. So, and then for at least an hour every day, I was talking to the second in command. He would call me into his office and just have these chats with me. So they were monitoring me very closely. See, because I'm an experiencer, contacting experiencer, and I've had it since the crib. So they knew who I was, and they were monitoring me the entire time. So,
Janet, when you, I know you're in Maui. It's only a hop, skip, and a jump over here to the Big Island. If you ever do come over to the Big Island, we sure would like to, if you would come forward and we could maybe film and document your case in more detail. Would you be willing to do that?
Oh, I'd love to come over.
The Johnson's Atoll is, there's a lot of mystery behind it. What was going on over there? It sounds like you have some maybe insight that's going to blow the lid off of what's going on. I've never heard of it being used as kind of an ET experimental project.
Well, they're not going to announce it. But there was a room I walked by every day. I'm a secretary. I end up being a librarian. I'm just doing my normal human stuff, right? I go past this one room. Now, I've had a lifelong experience with telepathic communication, so I know what it feels like. And they had a double blind. When you walk past the door, if the door opened, they just had a barricade there. You couldn't see it. And every time I walked by there, I would go, there's some freaking grays in there. I can feel them. I knew it. I could never tell anybody anything because I knew it wasn't safe. If I would have revealed it, there was a room underneath the main, they called it the jail, and people would get intoxicated and stuff. They said, you do not want to spend a moment there. In fact, people would disappear. They'd go in this jail, and we'd hear a story the next day. Well, they got fired, and they sent them off in the first, plane. They could only get in and out of there through plane or barge. There's no way to get there. So I had to leave after a year. It was just too much. It was too intense. The energy was too much. And once I had that full-on conscious experience, I said I needed to get out of there. So I managed to get out of my remainder of my contract and able to come back to. I was living in Honolulu at the time. But I'd love to share more. There's a lot of stories. And, I kept it to myself because, who has a life like this? It took 60 years for us to start as a community to come out and start talking about this. So, now I feel safe. I am writing books. I have my own blog talk, like you guys, and I talked to all the whistleblowers, but I'd love to share and connect the dots, and we could do a conference. I think it's time for us to do another conference here in the islands, and I'd like to collaborate with you in any way, shape, or form because this is disclosure. What you're doing here is disclosure, and this needs to happen now. The time is right.
The time is now. You're exactly right, Janet. Let me ask you, is your boyfriend still with you, and would he be able to participate and share his side of the story as well?
Well, that young man, God bless him, he came over, and I did meet him like 5 years after. We didn't stay together. I'm married to a wonderful man, and even when my husband is my therapist, my hypnotherapist, so we've been going through all these different episodes, fleshing them out, getting all the details. But we invited him over, and I think that the military really did a job on him. They do that with their contactees and their super soldiers, and so he was just exhibiting lots of evidence of being, mind controlled and manipulated, and he had immense anger issues, and so we were working with him trying to uncover some things, but he just got into a lot of rage. They kind of put him. If you're uncovering the program, you encounter their blocks that they put in, the implants and their counter programs. So whenever we get so far into it, he would get into pure rage. And you have to be careful. My husband's a therapist, and you have to be careful when you're deprogramming, because some of them have a kill mechanism. They can go ballistic. So we kept getting into something really horrific in his programming. So he ended up moving on, and I've lost track of him. It's been, a good 10 years now since I've last heard from him. But my husband, I'd love to bring in my husband's an Anunnaki researcher. He's an anthropologist, and we've done a lot of regressions with people over the years besides my own case. So I would probably bring him with me. I mean, I go everywhere with him. He's 74. He's my best friend and my beloved and twin flame and all that, and I really don't go anywhere without him.
Absolutely fantastic. Third Phase of Moon is the place to share your stories. You're sharing it with the world. Disclosure is in your hands. Everybody, keep your eyes on the skies. Have your cameras ready. We're not alone in this universe. My name is Blake Cousins. We'll see you again next time.
I came over, and he ran up to me, and I was sitting on a park bench, trying to figure out what to do. And he said, welcome, you've landed on a joint UFO ET military base. Now, he didn't know me from Adam. There was a bunch of people arriving. I just happened to be sitting there. And it was very strange, and I said, oh, really? And he didn't know that I had experiences, or did he? That was a mystery. But when I was on the base for about a year into my contract, I had taken a lover, and we were making love. We looked at it and we went, oh, we saw the smoke detector, and we.
Third Phase of Moon.
We just received photos from Ed that we're going to be sharing exclusively right here at Third Phase of Moon. We're going to share incredible encounters from around the world, all the way from Johnson's Atoll and from the United States. Incredible close encounters with aliens, UFO sightings. Third Phase of Moon is the place to share your stories. You're sharing it with the world. Disclosure is in your hands. We want people out there that have a UFO experience. You don't know.
Realized that, somebody, that's on just smoke detector. They were watching us, We didn't know who it was. We just realized we were being recorded. And that within 24 hours of having that awareness, we were both taken out of our beds. I was carried by 6 grays, and I was carried like a surfboard, and I started screaming bloody murder. And at the same time, I'm thinking, why isn't anybody, coming to rescue me? I'm screaming, and it's a small island, only a half mile by 3 miles, and I could really scream. And as I was saying that in my mind, the gray and the...
You always have to have photos or incredible video. Your testimony is just as important. Evidence, eyewitness accounts. What we want is people to videotape themselves for 3 to 5 minutes, get some good audio, get a good video, good lighting, and share your story to us so we can share it to the world on Third Phase of Moon. We're working on a documentary. We want to document, get people's testimony in a collective source, get it in a documentary, individual encounters from around the world. What better place to do that in Third Phase? Let's get the callers right now. Let's go to our backyard. Somebody's calling in from Hawaii, 808. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Tell us your name.
Aloha, Janet Careless, and calling from the island of Maui, Hawaii.
Hey, Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you for answering my call. I was in Johnson Atoll from December 95 till February of 97. And I don't know if you know what it is. It's a place where during the height, they destroyed chemical weapons. It was a military base, and I was civilian working for the military. So I got a job there, and I followed my boyfriend. And so no one can go there. You have to get, clearance to get there. So there I was, and the moment I landed, a guy